Te reo ererangi o te mania. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
The Christmas Cake. It was a joyful day for the McMulligan children when Mrs. McMulligan made the Christmas cake. There were raisins to seed, and eggs to beat, and pans to scrape, and every one of the children, from the oldest to the youngest, helped to stir the batter when the good things were mixed together. Oh, mix it and stir it and taste, for everything's in it and nothing to waste. And everyone's helped, even baby, to make the nice, brown, sugary Christmas cake, said Mrs. McMulligan as she poured the batter into the cake pan. The baker who lived at the corner was to bake the Christmas cake, so Joseph, the oldest boy, made haste to carry it to him. All the other children followed him, and together they went so carefully out of the front door, down the sidewalk, straight to the shop where the baker was waiting for them. The baker's face was so round and so jolly that the McMulligan children thought he must look like a Santa Claus. He could bake the whitest bread and the lightest cake. As soon as the children spied him, they began to call, "The cake is all ready, tea is here in the pan. Now bake it good, baker, as fast as you can." No, said the baker. "Tea would make a mistake to hurry in baking the Christmas cake. I will not bake it fast, I will not bake it slow. My little round clock on the wall there will show how long I must watch and how long I must bake the nice, brown, sugary Christmas cake." The little round clock hung on the wall above the oven. Its face was so bright and its tick was so merry, and it was busy night and day, telling the baker when to sleep and when to eat and when to do his baking. When the McMulligan children looked at it, it was just striking 10, and it seemed to them very plainly to say, "Tea is just the right time for the baker to bake the nice, brown, sugary Christmas cake." The oven was ready, and the baker made haste to put the cake in. "Ho ho!" he cried gaily. "Now, isn't this fun? Tea is 10 o'clock, and the baking has begun, and tiggity, tiggity, when it strikes 1, if nothing should hinder, the cake will be done." Then the McMulligan children ran home to tell their mother what he had said, and the baker went on with his work. It was the day before Christmas, and a great many people came to his shop to buy pies and cakes. But no matter how busy he was waiting on them, he never forgot the McMulligan's cake, and every time he looked at the clock, it reminded him to peep into the oven. So well did he watch it, and so carefully did he bake it, that the cake was done on the stroke of 1, just as he had promised, and he had scarcely taken it out of the oven when the shop door flew open, and in came the McMulligan children, every one of them saying, "The clock has struck 1, the clock has struck 1. We waited to hear it, and is the cake done?" When they saw it, they thought it was the nicest, brownest, spiciest cake that was ever baked in a baker's oven. The baker himself said it was a beautiful cake, and if you had been at the McMulligans on Christmas Day, I'm sure you would have thought so too. Joseph carried it home, walking very slowly and carefully, and all the other children followed him, out of the baker's shop, down the sidewalk, straight home where Mrs. McMulligan was waiting for them. She was smiling at them from the window, and when they spied her, they all began to call, "Hooray for Mama, she surely can make the nicest and spiciest Christmas cake. Hooray for Baker, hooray for the fun, hooray for the Christmas cake, now it's done."
Christmas Party. Mr. and Mrs. Percy had 7 grandchildren, all very pretty and all very good. These children did not all have the same father and mother. That is, Mr. and Mrs. Percy's eldest son had 3 children, whose names were Mary and Carrie and Thomas, and one of their daughters was married and had 3 children. Their names were Willie and Bella and Fanny, and their youngest son was married and had 1 child. Her name was Sarah. She was the youngest of the children, and they all loved her very much, and her grandma made a great pet of her. The children and their parents had been invited to eat a Christmas dinner with their grandma, and they had all been promised a little dance in the evening. Even little Sarah was to go, and to stay to the ball, as she called it. They were glad, for they liked to go to their dear grandma's very much. At last Christmas came. It was a bright, frosty day. The icicles that hung from the iron railings sparkled as the sun shone upon them, and the little boys in the streets made their sliding ponds of the gutters, and did not mind a bit when they came down on their backs, but jumped up and tried again. And a great many people were hurrying along with large turkeys to cook for their Christmas dinner, and everybody looked very happy indeed. After these children, about whom I am telling you, came back from church, they were dressed very nicely, and although they lived in 3 different houses, they all got to their grandma's very nearly at the same time. The first thing they did was to run up to their grandma and wish her a Merry Christmas, and kiss her and say they hoped she felt quite well. Then they did the same to their grandpa and aunties, for they had 2 dear kind aunts who lived with their grandparents. Then they all hugged and kissed each other and jumped about so much that some kissed noses and some kissed chins, and little Sarah was almost crazy with delight, for she had never been to so large a party before. "Grandma," said Willie, "I hung up my stocking last night, and what do you think I got in it?" His grandma guessed that he got a birch rod. "No," said Willie, laughing. "I got a doughnut in the shape of a monkey with a long tail. I ate the monkey for my breakfast, and it was very good indeed." The children all laughed at this, and Bella, Willie's sister, who was the oldest of all the children, said she thought that Willie had a monkey look about him, so he went by the name of the Monkey Eater for the rest of the day. Soon the bell rang for dinner, and they all went downstairs, for the children and the grown people were to dine together. It was now quite dark, and the chandelier that hung over the table was lighted. The curtains were drawn close, the fire burnt brightly, and the tablecloth was so white and fine that it looked like satin. The happy party sat down at a large round table, and the children's eyes looked so bright and their cheeks so rosy that it was the pleasantest sight in the world to see. Little Sarah could not help having a great many little laughs all to herself. She could not keep them in. She was only 4 years old, so you may suppose that she could not look very grave and stiff on such a delightful occasion. When Willie saw his little cousin Sarah trying to hide her sparkling eyes and her funny little laugh behind her mother's arm, he felt just as if somebody was tickling him. So he pinched his lips together very tight indeed, and casting his eyes up to the ceiling, tried to look as grave as a judge. But it would not do. He burst out into such a fit of laughing that everybody else laughed too, and it was a long time before they could get their faces straight enough to eat their dinner. Would you like to know what they had for dinner? Well, I'll tell you. After their grandpa had asked a blessing, they had some very nice soup. The children did not care for soup. Then they had a fish stuffed with all sorts of things and stewed, and the grown people said the fish was very nice, but the little ones did not care for that either. Then they had some roast beef and a boiled turkey with oysters. The children all took turkey. Willie asked for a drumstick, and his cousin Mary said he wanted to beat the monkey he ate in the morning. Bella chose a merry thought. Little Sarah liked to hug me fast. Carrie took a wishing bone. Thomas said he would have the drumstick to help beat the monkey. And Fanny thanked the grandma for a wing so that she could fly away when the beating of the monkey took place. But that was not the half the good things, for they afterwards had some delicious games such as partridges and woodcocks and some fried oysters, and all this pleased the grown-up people the most. The children saved their appetites for dessert. Well, after this the cloth was taken off, and under that was another tablecloth, just as white and fine as the first. Then came something that was quite astonishing. What do you think it was? It was a great plum pudding all on fire. It blazed away terribly, and Willie thought they had better send for the fire engines to put it out. but it was blown out very easily, and the children each had a very small piece, because it was too rich to eat much of, and their parents did not wish to make them ill. After that there came ice creams and jellies and sweet meats that were perfectly delicious, and then the other white cloth was taken off, and under that was a beautiful red one. Then the servants put on the table what the children liked best of all, and that was a dish of fine motto kisses and oranges and grapes and other nice fine fruits. The children sent the mottos to each other and had a great deal of sport. Someone sent Willie this: "O William, 'tis quite plain to see that all of your life you will a monkey be." He thought his cousin Mary had sent it, because he saw that she was trying very hard to look grave, so he sent this to her: "Dear Mary, you are too severe. You are too bad, I do declare. Your motto has upset me quite, and I shan't get over it tonight." Mary laughed when she read it, and said that she had been just as cruel to Thomas, for she had sent him this: "The rose is red, the violet blue, the grass is green, and so are you." They had a good laugh at Thomas, but as he laughed as hard as any of them, it did no harm. Little Sarah had a great many mottos. Her mamma read them to her, and it pleased her very much. She said it was a very nice play, but she was tired with sitting such a long time at a table, so her mother let her slip down from her chair. Very soon all the rest got up and went upstairs into the drawing room. But what was that in the middle of the room? It seemed to be a large table, covered all over with a red cloth. What could it be? Willie said, "Grandma, that table looks as if something was on it." And little Sarah said, "Grandma, I guess old Father Christmas has been here." "Yes, dear children," said their grandma, "Father Christmas has been here, and this time he looked very much like your grandpa. He will be up soon, and then we will see what is on the table." Oh, how the children did wish to peep. They could not look at anything else. They danced and jumped around the table, and were in a great hurry for their grandpa. In a few minutes he came into the room, and all the children ran up to him and said, "Dear grandpa, do let us see what you've got on the table." He smiled, and he went to the table and took the cloth off. The children were so astonished that they could not say a single word. The table was covered with beautiful things, and under it was something that looked like a little red brick house. "Well," said their kind grandpa, "my dear children, you did not think you were going to be treated with such a fine show as this. You may go up to the table and see if you can find out who they are for." The children gathered around the table, and Willie took from the top a fine brig with all her sails set and colours flying. His eyes sparkled when he saw written on a slip of paper which lay on the deck these words: "For my dear Willie." The children clapped their hands, and nothing was heard but, "How beautiful! What a fine ship!" "It is a brig of war," said Willie. "Only look at the little brass guns on her deck." Thank you, dear grandpa. What is the name of my ship?" "Her name is painted on her stern," said his grandpa. Willie looked and saw that she was called the Louisa. He blushed and looked very funny, and the other children laughed, for Willie knew a very pretty little girl whose name was Louisa, and he liked her very much, and that was what made them laugh when they heard the name. After they had all admired the brig, they went back to the table, and there were 2 beautiful books full of engravings or pictures, one for Bella and one for Mary, and next to these was a large wax doll for Carrie, and another for Fanny. Carrie's doll was dressed in blue satin and a white satin hat with a lace veil, and Fanny's doll was dressed in pink satin with a black velvet hat and feathers. Their eyes opened and shut, and they had beautiful faces. How delightful the little girls were! They hugged their dolls to their breasts, and they ran to hug and kiss their grandpa. Carrie said, "My doll's name shall be Rose," and Fanny said, "My doll's name shall be Christmas, because I got her on Christmas Day." Well, I must hurry and tell you the rest, for I am afraid my story is getting too long. Thomas found for him a splendid menagerie, and all the animals made noises like real animals. There were roaring lions, yelling tigers and laughing hyenas, and braying donkeys and chattering monkeys, growling bears and many other wild beasts. Oh, how pleased Thomas was, and all of the children. Little Sarah did nothing but jump up and down and say, so many things, I never saw so many things." But who was to have the little house under the table? There was a little piece of paper sticking out of the chimney, and Sarah pulled it out and carried it to her grandpa. He took her up in his arms and he read it to her. What was written on it was, "A baby house for my darling little Sarah." "Why, I guess this must be for you," said Grandpa. "Yes, it is for me," said the little girl. "My name is Sarah. It must be for me." Her grandpa pushed her down and led her to the table. He drew the little house out and opened it. The whole front of the house opened, and there inside were 2 rooms. One was a parlour and one a bedroom. The children all cried out, "What a fine baby house! Look at the centre table and the red velvet chairs, and only see the elegant curtains. Oh dear, how beautiful it is!" Little Sarah did not say a word. She stood before the baby house with her hands stretched out and jumped up and down, her eyes shining like diamonds. She was much too pleased to speak. She looked so funny, jumping up and down all the time, that she made Willie laugh again, and then everybody laughed. At last she said, "There is a young lady sitting on the chair with a red sash. I think she wants to come out." "Well, you may take her out," said her grandpa. So Sarah took the young lady out, and then took up the chairs and sofa, one by one, and smoothed the velvet, and looked at the little clock on the mantelpiece, and opened the little drawers on the bureau, and then pushing them down she began to jump again. There was never such a happy party before. The children hardly wished to dance, they were so busy looking at their presents. But after a little while they had a very nice dance. One of their aunts played for them. She played so well and kept such nice time that it was quite a pleasure to hear her. It was now quite late, and little Sarah had fallen fast asleep on the sofa, with the young lady out of the baby house clasped to her chest. So they wrapped her up, doll and all, in a great shawl, and the rest put on their nice warm coats and cloaks, and after a great deal of hugging and kissing, they got into their carriages with their parents and went home happy and delighted. Thus ended the joyful Christmas day.